Good morning, everyone. Sound check, we're good?
Sounds good.
Okay, so I am here with Lena. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. She's modeled for us once before, and she's the perfect model for today because we are going to be talking all things curly hair. So today is all about tips and tricks for how to style your curly hair and a lot of information on the Boing line from Unite. So I just washed her hair with the Boing shampoo and conditioner. So these are the two products from Unite from the Boing line. The cleanser is derived from coconut, like a lot of the other Unite shampoos, but this one just has a little extra moisture because with curly hair, the main thing we want to do is add a lot of moisture back into the hair. So these two together are the perfect combo for if you have curly hair and you're trying to add moisture back in so that it like really reflects the light and shines, and also to help like maintain frizz. So we did that. And now I'm going in with the Boing conditioner. So this is a lot like the 7 Seconds Detangler, but it's even more moisture. So it's great for people with curly hair, but it's also good for people who want like a little step up from the 7 seconds. So I love the smell of this one. And it's just gonna add like the moisture back in her hair, and it's gonna help me be able to detangle. Like always, if you guys have any questions, you can just type them on in and Mike will read them off to me. So we're just gonna comb through this, and then I'm gonna tell you about our styling products. There's two styling products in the Boing line. And I think just within the Boing line itself, there's pretty much everything you need if you have curly hair. It like will help combat all the issues that people with curly hair tend to have. So let me just get her combed out.
At this stage of the process, what are like the biggest challenges most people with curly hair are gonna have? Like, obviously the thicker hair, I'm assuming, would have more knots or tangles, or?
Yeah, I mean, curly hair tends to tangle. A lot of people tend to have issues with tangling, like at the nape of the neck. The main issue today is that my brush is smashed from my kit, so I need to get a new detangling brush. But yes, so when you use the 7 second or the Boing detangler, it's just going to help you get through even the most tangled hair pretty easily. Thank you, Mike. Ah, see, that's much better. Okay, so now that she's all tangled, detangled, I mean, we're just going to kind of let this part naturally so I can show you like some curl tricks. So the two, oops, that's not done. The two styling products in the Boing line are the Boing Moisture Curl Cream and then the Boing Defining Curl Cream. So the moisturizing curl cream, that's for someone like Lena that already has hair that falls into a curl pattern. You can see that it's curly even when it's wet. So this would be to define the curls that she already has, add moisture in it, but it has no hold. So it's just going to take her natural curl up a level. And then if she wants to add a little bit more definition, or for someone who has more wavy hair, you would go in with the defining cream. This does have a hold factor, and it's gonna help actually add a little bit more curl to the hair. So that's the difference between the two products. So I kind of feel like the moisture, what I tell my clients is like the moisture curl cream is almost like the Define, but just added a little bit more conditioner to it. So I get asked a lot about the defining cream. Is it gonna make my hair crunchy because of the hold? No. So it's definitely gonna define the curls. It's definitely gonna add hold, but it's not gonna be crunchy. So those are the two products. What we're gonna do today is I'm gonna show you a technique where you layer the two products. So we're gonna leave her hair parted in the middle. So I think sometimes people with curly hair run into problems because of either touching their hair too much or not getting product on every section of the hair. And with curly hair, even more so than straight hair, you really need to make sure that the product, just like a color, is getting on every piece of hair. So what we're gonna do is first start starting with the moisture. So like I said, this is the one that doesn't have any hold. It's just gonna enhance her curl that she already has. I'm just gonna rub this into my hands and then just start to rake it through the hair. And you can see how I'm sectioning it off because we do wanna make sure that it gets on every piece of hair because that's really gonna help with the frizz. And I'm gonna just do this throughout her whole hair.
And this is going on roots to end?
Roots to end, yep. So this is, on this style today, this is gonna be like her base layer. Because then I'm gonna go through and show you a curling technique. So I'm only gonna do this on half of her head for time and also so that you can see the difference with product and without. So I've got it applied to that section. Now we're gonna go back here to the back section, do the same thing. She's got really curly hair, but not super thick hair, so 2 sections is enough to get through. Layering that moisture product on. And even just from like first putting it on, you can tell that it's already calming down a lot of the flyaways just from having the product on her hair. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is section that in half again. And now I'm gonna layer the defining cream right on top. So a couple ways I would use this like in the real world. A lot of times people with curly hair, it'll be really curly in the back, but maybe there's a section in the middle that's a little straighter. Or maybe the curls on the top of their head are really springed up and they want to kind of drag them down a little bit. So any area of your curly hair that you feel like needs like a little bit extra hold, that's where you would do this technique. Or you could do the whole entire head, that's totally fine too, but it's really great for like treating little problem areas. So the defining cream, right away you'll know that you've grabbed the right one because it comes out a like light lavender color. I don't know if you can see that, but.
Yeah.
And that's how you know that you've gotten the one that has the hold in it. So I've got it on my hands now. I'm gonna take a section and apply it. And then we're just gonna twist it around a comb. This is gonna put the product all the way through. And then we're just going to leave that section like that. I've still got product on my hands, so we're gonna do the same thing here. There's a lot of different techniques for doing this. You can even do it just around your finger if you want, but you're just kind of shaping these curls into place. You can notice that I'm like pulling it up a little bit here so it adds some volume at the base, and I'm gonna alternate which direction I do each section. The size of the section is really gonna be more about like how tight or loose you want the curls to be. So I'm gonna get a little more product here. Applying it to those sections. This one I want to go away from her face. So I'm just gonna twist and pull it around the comb. And you can see how it's just adding like a specific curl to that strand, and I'm just gonna lay it down. By the time you get the whole head done, it's gonna almost be like she has little dreadlocks throughout her hair. So I'm combing this all the way through. That's gonna make sure there's no flyaways. So you could see this would be pretty time consuming to do on your whole head, which, you know, more power to you if you wanna do that. But I do think, you know, using it as like a spot treatment to areas that need it, so there you go, lay it down, is always kind of a good solution. Just to, like, she could scrunch up her whole head and then be like, okay, I want this one to be really bouncy, I'm just gonna put a few pieces in there. But like I said, we're gonna do this front section and then I'll dry it just so that you can kind of see what the difference would be. Another thing that people often talk about with curly hair is like, I have to wash my hair every day because I wake up in the morning and the curl is all frizzy, or it's falling flat. So I think the Boing, like the curl leave-in is also great for refreshing curls. So on day 2 hair, you can spray it all over your head and then go and diffuse it or not, just let it air dry, and it works great for that. Also, curly hair can be a little bit more fragile. So on day 2 hair, if she was planning on touching it up with a curling iron, I would really recommend using the glossing spray as like your heat protectant before you wrap it around a curling barrel. And then same thing, when you're curling it, you want to make sure you're doing almost just like what I'm doing right now, but you want to make sure that you are alternating the direction and the size of the curls when you're curling around a curling iron, because that's going to make it look more natural, to blend in with natural curls. So there's that, and then so that one went back, this one will go forward. Again, I'm lifting it up at the root base and then just twisting it around. There's lots of different techniques on how to do this. I happen to like this technique because it really does make the product go all over each section of hair. So that one was back, that one was forward, this one will be back. Oops. Yeah, so I think the biggest complaints that I hear about people with curly hair is just that their hair tends to feel dry and they don't want to use a product that is too heavy or has too much like crunch to it. So this line is perfect for that. Okay, so we've got that whole side done. I'm gonna diffuse it just like this, so you won't be able to hear me while I'm drying this section. But another thing, like on my hair, if I was doing this, because I have curly hair, but it's obviously not curly like hers, if I wanted to add a little bit more hold even than what's already there, I would go in with the Boost to Spray. That works great as like a spray kind of hold gel to the hair. It's definitely, if I do all of these products and the Boost, it's definitely not something touchable, right? But it like has lots of body and it'll hold all day, so that's great. Okay, so we're going in with the diffuser, Unite blow dryer.
What about heat and speed?
So I tend to do high heat, high speed, but it's really a personal preference. And then I cold shot it at the end to kind of hold it in. If you're losing control of the hair, then I would definitely lower the speed. And if you feel like the hair is extra fragile, the heat can go down as well. So it's kind of like personal choice on that. So let's see how we do with high and high. Well, let me say one more thing before I turn this on. I always, like if you're doing your hair at home, you're kind of doing these actions or even flipping your head all the way upside down. So you want to mimic that when you're doing it with a client too, unless we want her hair to stay flat. If we wanted this to look like wet waves or something like that, then she would stay just like that and I would start diffusing this way. But because I want it to have a little volume, I'm going to have her tilt her head this way. Perfect. She's done this before. And then this is going to be, I'm going to move so you can see, but you can already see it's pulling it off of her head that way. And it's also really important to touch it as little as possible. So you're really just laying it in to the diffuser and it's coiling around as I'm doing it. And then, you know, we're just holding it there. And then once you feel like it's pretty dry, you take it off and do it again. So let's do it. Okay, on your neck. Feels okay? Comfortable? Oh, yeah. Doing okay? Okay, so that's definitely not all the way dry, but I just want to stop so you guys can see, like even as I'm drying it, like there's zero frizz on her hair. I'm gonna get this out of the way so you can see. You see that? So as I dry it, it's gonna stay in this, you know, shape, which she wouldn't want to walk around with like it looking like dreadlocks, but at the very end, when it's all the way dry, you can go in with a pick and just sort of shake out the curls. I'm not gonna do it crazy because I need to finish drying it, but that will kind of like separate the curl lines. And this is just gonna keep bouncing up and bouncing up as I dry it. But you can see already like literally no frizz compared to over here with no product. Can you see the difference?
Looks very nice and shiny.
Okay. So it's really boring to watch me blow dry, but I feel like I have to get this all the way dry so that you guys can see. So if there's any questions while I'm drying this section, feel free to, you know, fire away, and then let's see what happens. How are we on time? Oh, good. Okay, so most curly haired girls that I know don't dry their hair all the way because they say that's gonna like make it too frizzy or whatever. So I think if she dried her hair to this level and then went and did her makeup or whatever, then she could shake it out in the end and it would be ready to be styled. So a couple little things. So if I was going to, so this product and this method is great for like if she was gonna do an updo, because basically it looks like I just used a curling iron on it and I didn't. So you could take each of these and, you know, pull them up into an updo really easily without putting a whole ton of heat on your hair. So that's a great tip. And then as far as shaking it out goes, you can use a little bit more of the Boing defining cream and rub it on your hands. But the thing is that your hands are gonna take off whatever moisture you just put in the hair. So you wanna make sure you're not using the oils from your own hands to mess up what you just did. So before I shake out any curls or touch the hair too much, I love, this is my favorite. So I use a little bit of the Smooth and Shine. And just as like a little tip, if the bottle is on the smaller side, then that's usually a really good inclination of like, you don't need to use a lot of it. So compared to, you know, a bigger bottle, this, you really don't need to use a lot. So Smooth and Shine just in general can be used on wet or dry hair. And we know that because of the color coding on the bottle. So if you use it wet, you'd put it in before you blow dry. I love it on the ends of the hair before I'm doing a good round brush, because the round brush will just glide right through the hair. There's no pulling or tension involved. But for shaking out, what I'm gonna do on her is like a pea-size amount, and then rub it into my hands. And then this is gonna help break away any kind of casting that's left on the hair. And then you can just sort of start shaking it out depending on what you want the style to look like. And just break away some of those lines from the twist. And like I said, I did not get it all the way dry. But just as like an easy tips and a little quick technique, I think that shows you pretty good what the product can do. So we could continue drying this and the volume would build out. But, and I hope you can see it on camera, but like the frizz compared to, you know, this is like bouncy defined curls. So I love it. Okay, so if you have any questions about the Boing line or any of the techniques I showed you today, you can feel free to always comment on this. This video is going to live on our Instagram page as well as online, I believe.
On YouTube. On Unite TV.
Okay, perfect. And then our next live is going to be with Gary Baker on Monday, August 25th at 10 a.m. And he's going to be talking about a shag cut. So that's always exciting. Yeah, so stay tuned for more lives and more episodes on Unite TV. And as always, feel free to shoot any questions you might have. Hope everyone has a good weekend.